All right, it's 8:01, so I'm going to go ahead and get this started. Today we have Joe Oppelt presenting our third Think Data Thursday of the year. Joe's going to be presenting a sheet swapping to make your dashboards pop webinar for us today. A little background on Joe. Joe has been in the industry for quite some time. Started using Tableau about 4 years ago, closer to 5 years ago now. He's grew up from the East Coast, but now he's happily landing in Colorado Springs and working out there with the Family First organization. And with that, I'll hand it over to Joe. Oh, and a couple quick housekeeping items. As we go through the webinar, feel free to put any of your questions into the Q&A feature of the Zoom chat or of the Zoom webinar, and we'll go ahead and field those questions to Joe as we go on. All right, and it's off to you, Joe.
All right, Patrick, and I have the chat window closed. If somebody puts something in the chat window, interrupt me to ask the question, because I want to answer any questions as I go along. So, folks, if you have questions, let me know. We may have some interruptions during this presentation. I'm working from home today. We had a blizzard yesterday, and I've got several households of people here where electricity is out in their homes, and so I've got grandkids and granddogs and people. There's a lot of chaos going on. But put up with that. I hope you guys enjoy what I have to present. What I'm going to present today is called popping and swapping. And so in this example, what I'm going to call my goal dashboard, I have 3 sheets, and each sheet has its own legend, and each sheet has its own filter. And I just, for here, I'm using a parameter to change which sheet gets displayed. And so this is the goal I'm going to do for the first half of this, is to design this up, hack it up real quick so you can see how to put this together. I do want to show something that I have here. I want to show why we have to pop and swap at times. I'm gonna float a pie chart on here. Let's expand this so I don't get my. And I want to have profits. So there's my pie chart. And if I happen to have another sheet that I want to swap with it, I'm going to have my my sales sheet that I'm going to put over top of it here. Right now, the sales sheet's not displaying, right? If I go to sales, these 2 sheets will swap in their shape. The sheet that's on the top, I'm able to access with the cursor. All right, let's get this out. I'm going to be deleting all this stuff. I'm just showing for now a reason why we want to pop and swap. All right, I can access this sheet here, but if I go back to the profit sheet, it's covered by, I can't click on this at all, and I can't get tooltips. I can't get anything because it's covered by the sales sheet, which is overlaying it. Okay, the space, my cursor can't break through that. So the reason why we swap things is to have them all on the same level in the same container, so that when one displays and one goes away, they're all at the same level and you can click on them. So to start off with, I'm going to put just a simple vertical container here. And then I'm going to drag my 3 sheets. I'm just going to do click drag, shift drag, and put the first sheet in there, shift drag, put the profit sheet in there, and shift drag and put the cost sheet in there. So the 3 sheets are in this one container. We hide the title, and I'll show you later on why we hide the title on each of these. But now I have, and they're driven by, and I'll show you this in a second, they're driven by a calc that works off the filter, that works off the parameter here, this select a measure parameter. And let me get over to that so that you can see what I've done in there. Sales, okay. I have this report to display calc in here, and all it is it says here, what's the value of my select a measure parameter? All right, and in here for the value in here, edit filter, I say, well, when it's sales, display these rows on this sheet. And I've done exactly the same thing on my profit sheet. Right now, nothing's displayed because this is currently set to sales. But when I set it to profits, right, I didn't want to show, I want to say edit filter, profit. Okay, when it's set to profit, this sheet displays, and the sales sheet no longer, cancel. The sales sheet no longer displays because this is only going to display when the parameters set to sales. And so it's in a very high level way, this is how we swap sheets, is we have some sort of a calc that determines whether or not to display the rows in that sheet. Let me go back to my my beginning dashboard. So now I have 3 sheets in this container. Here's my vertical container. And there's my 3 sheets, and they're all in this container. And depending on whichever one I select, I display the one that is chosen, sales, costs, whatever. Now you notice that all of the filters and the legends just all got tiled on over here. What I want to do now is move some things around. So here's essentially the same dashboard. And what I'm going to do now is just float everything that's in here. One by one, I'm going to click and float them all. I'm clicking the little float button up here. It makes that tiled entity floating instead. Let's drag him out of the way. Float this guy. Drag him out of the way. Float this guy. And float this guy. I'm going to leave my my sales one in here, just in this spot. That's okay to have that there because I'm going to float things over top of it. So what I want to do now is I want to make something that is going to push out the profit legend or the shipping, the cost legend when the respective sheet is selected. And what I will do here is I will drag in another container, and this is all done in containers. But we can do this in tiled. Actually, what I'm going to do right now isn't going to work so well in tiled. I'll just say that right now. This particular technique that I'm going to do for this step. But what I have here is I have made, let me switch to profit so we can see things here. I have made a profit legend pop-out sheet that I'm going to shift into here. And it's a certain size, okay? It pushes down when it displays. I'm going to hide this guy. Always hide the titles when you're popping and swapping. When this expands, it opens up and it moves down X pixels, X number of pixels. If I go to sales, this thing goes away. It just completely goes away. And now it came back again because I've chosen profit. Now I'm going to drag the profit legend in here. And I'm going to size this up to be about the same size as this, as the existing sales legend that's on there. And now what I want to do is I want to push this off into negative space so that this portion of the container is off the edge of the dashboard. I'm going to choose a number. I'm going to pick for the Y. I'm going to pick -100. And that didn't quite do it, so I'm going to try -110. You see where I'm changing that? You can just type in numbers into these positions in that grid, and there it is. It has completely covered the sales legend. You could see the sales legend bleeding through. And so what I'm going to do now is click on here and color the background of this white so that it's totally opaque. And now you don't even see the sales legend. I'm going to show you something here. I'm going to click on display mode. Here, off of the border of what was the dashboard is this little sheet now. Okay, when I go to sales, it'll shrink down, and the profit slips off the edge of the dashboard. It's off in negative space. So I'm going to hit escape here to get out of display mode, and so sales now displays because I have chosen sales. Profit will display because that pop-out sheet expands and pushes the profit legend down into view. And I'm going to do exactly the same now for the shipping legend, cost legend. And I have a cost legend pop. And you will see that this one here now, oh, it's just the same size. This is the same size. I'm sorry, yeah. And I'm going to drag my shipping cost legend into here as well. And it's going to work in exactly the same way, right? So I want to tell it 110 because I know that that's what I got from the last time. 110, return. And, oh, what did I do? I didn't drag it into the container is what it is. There we go. Now when I tell it to go away, yeah, okay, good. Still didn't drag it in the right place. Bear with me. Thank God for the back arrow. I put that in the wrong place. Remove. We're going to do this again. Cost legend. I'm going to shift drag it in there. Sorry about that, guys. This guy, drag it in there. There it is. Negative 110. Color this. Again, I'm making that background opaque so we don't see the shipping one bleed through. And now we have, for that piece of this, no matter which one I pick, the right legend is showing up in that corner. So I have two vertical containers that are identically over top of each other, and then that also floats over the sales legend. Okay, they're all in exactly the same spot. I've positioned them so that it does that. I'm going to go back to the gold dashboard. So that's what we see in here. It's exactly the same thing. As I pick one or the other, it does that. So now what I want to do is move on to show how I do putting all these into a container so that the correct legend displays when I pick whatever sheet I have. So I'm going to, again, put another container. So I'm going to do a horizontal container. I'm going to make it a very long horizontal container. Because what I want to do is have two pop-out sheets. And I'm going to show you something in just a second here. There's the first pop-out sheet, and it is this big. I'm going to change this now to profits, and I'm going to drag the profit pop-out sheet so that it goes into here. It's only half the size. Watch what happens when I go from cost to profit. I got to do that again. All right, there's my cost one. I'm going to drag my profit one behind it. Didn't go behind it the first time. Hide the titles. Always hide the titles. Oh, and let me go back here. Okay, this explains why if we don't hide the title, it takes up the space that it was supposed to. Profit filter pop. Where's the title on that?
Hey, Joe, we have a question from Kathy about how did you get the titles even though the titles are hidden? I think you're going through that.
Say that again.
How did you get the titles even though the titles are hidden? I think because they're hidden. Are they hidden on the original sheet?
No, no matter what you do on the sheet, when you drag a sheet onto a dashboard, it by default, at least everything I've ever seen, it by default displays the title, and so you have to physically turn it off if you don't want that on there. I'm not sure where that went. Remove from dashboard. There we go. Shift. Get that out there. Okay, so right now, even though this sheet is not displayed because of what's been chosen, the title still takes up the space, and it doesn't shrink down until you actually delete the title, hide the title. So when I hide the title, now it's gone. But if I swap these things, then this will show up. Now this one's disappeared, right? There's my ABC for the second sheet, but the title is still here, and it holds its space. But what I want to point out here is this sheet is half the size of this sheet. And each of those sheets, or the space that the profit sheet, I've designed that space for the profit sheet to be the same width as a filter. All right, I'm going to drag these filters into here now. Why didn't you go? Why didn't you go? Where'd you go?
So, sorry, Joe, the question was, I guess, is more pointed about how you got the profit and the costs and the sales to show up in red after you're hiding them.
Oh, the cat, this here itself?
No, so where it says profit, how you're
Oh, that up here. Oh,
here.
you know what? Let me go back to this initial one that I created. Because what I did, if you notice, since there's no titles in here, this is a step I forgot to take. I'm glad, see, that's why I'm glad people are asking. I'm going to put a text in here, and I'm going to say insert and insert the value of this parameter. And what I did was I colored it, and I sized it, some size, and bold. Okay, there we go. So now it looks like that. Oh, let's center it too. Alignment center. Okay. And now what I do here is I shift drag that into the top of this container. And so it's always, I missed. Try it again. Joe, what are you doing? One more try. There it is. So it's just a text box at the top. And as I change, it's just displaying what the value of that parameter is. But that's how it, when we do popping and we say, oh, when we are swapping and we can't put the title out there, because, but I want to see a title. I need a title. Either you could do it with text, or you can actually make a sheet that has a text box, all right, text display of what you want to display, and display it up there. And you don't do any popping or swapping on that sheet that's going to be the title. It'll always display. But that's what I do. So that's why you're seeing up here sales. And now I'm over into this one here, into this. Okay. X out. Yeah, that was a good question. I'm going to redo what I was doing here. I'm going to drag a horizontal into here. I'm going to make it big. This all disappeared on me, so I'm going to start again. This cost filter pop, let me show you something here, what I've done in here, is that I've done the same report to display so that it always shows when cost displays. So I'm using the same filter again. It'll display when cost is chosen, just like it'll display when the cost sheet is chosen. So they work in tandem. So there's the cost one, and I'm going to show cost again. And you can see that it is twice the size, and I'll show you why, twice the width of a filter. I'm going to now drag in the profit filter. Okay, and then I'm going to put in my filters. I misdragged. You guys, I'm sure you all see this, that sometimes the dragging, the skill of dragging is valuable in, in Tableau. Okay, I'm going to hide my titles, and now what's going to happen here, drag this in a place where we can all see it. I have these three filters, and when I select cost, we're going to see that the category filter is going to land exactly where region is. All right, and that's because this has pushed it out to distances, widths of a filter. These filters are all set to the same size, and so this has pushed it over to the right too. If I do profit, we'll see that the department one lands exactly there because it's only pushing it over one hop. And so now what we have now are all of these filters are on exactly the same level in the same container so that we can click each of these. Unlike the initial thing where I was showing that we couldn't get to that pie chart because one sheet was on top of the other. Here we can get to the individual filters because they're all side by side instead of stacked on top of each other. If you'll notice, if I click here, I really can't get to the profit legend because there is the cost legend still on top of it. The only one I'll be able to click to, because these three are laying on top of each other, is the cost legend. There, now I can get to it. This kind of a legend usually users don't click, so that's why I demonstrated that particular technique up on here on these legends. But when it comes to doing these individual filters, people are going to need to get to each of them. So now the next step that I'm going to do here is position this so that the filter is just beyond the edge of the sheets themselves. So the sheets are going to hide these little pop-out pieces. All this stuff is going to end up behind the sheet. And why is that? Because now I'm going to right-click on here and say floating order, send to back. This is going to now be the bottom of all the floating things. And in addition, I'm also going to nope, I got to find the right, where am I? This one here. I'm going to make this, I'm going to color this one white so it's opaque so we don't see stuff bleeding through. Again, it's the same technique that I used up here to hide what was behind it, right? I'm going to make this container opaque white. We don't see anything that's behind it anymore. And now when I change things around, we're going to see that the right one is next to our sheets, depending on what I've picked, all right? The problem, well, there's still a problem though, right? We see, when I say cost, I see all this stuff over here, right? We don't want to see that stuff. And so what I'm going to do is cover that, mask it. I'm going to use a blank. I'm going to just drag a blank over to here and cover what I don't want to see. All right? And it's okay that it hangs off the edge of the dashboard. Nobody's going to see that. Users only see up to the edge of the dashboard itself. I'm going to color that white. And so basically I've made a little viewing area here now. And as I swap around, I only see the one that I want to see. Does everybody follow that? Do we see what I did there? I did that quickly. And so if there's any questions, please right now, let me know if you understand or you could follow what I did there. And by the way, we're seeing something bleeding through here. We can either move this overall container or put other things to hide it, whatever. It's just basically I want to show you that you can build a little viewing area that you only see one thing that you want to see. I'm going to drag this down here to make it look like what we saw before. This container I'm going to move over. This container I'm going to drag up here now. And I want to see, I'm just moving this over so I don't see anything over here, right? We see this piece over here. I can drag this little guy to hide. And so I've just moved the viewing area to over this side. And now as I swap things around, I get just that one filter that I want to see. Okay. And so that's a technique of swapping. I want to show you something here that how did I get this to?
Hey, Joe.
Yes.
One question we did have from Kathy is, are there ever problems with different screen sizes doing it this way?
Yes. Yes, there are, because when we move screen sizes around, since I'm floating things, it fits. Right now, what I'm displaying on is a laptop-sized dashboard. But if this were to be, at where I work, actually, we do everything in laptop-sized dashboards, because either people look at laptops or desktops. We have not technologically moved forward enough that people are looking at pads or phones yet with these things. But when we start doing that, I'm going to have to resize stuff. By the way, the laptop-sized dashboard looks just fine on a desktop. And so we just go with that as a standard in our organization. But if we are going to be putting it on different devices, Tableau now has the capability to let us save sizing of things for different devices, and we'd have to save it for various devices. So if there's a phone sized and a desktop and a laptop size and a pad size, we save them all. You could save them all. And Tableau detects what's being opened up and what it's being opened up on and picks the right display. But yes, when we float things around and then things automatically resize, that's a monkey wrench. I want to show something here, because I just sort of said without really describing, how did I get the right size of the window, the sheet to open up. I have this window of 3 text boxes with they're set to fix 200 pixels a size. If I say yes, I open up this sheet that's that big. That sheet, go to sheet. If I were to go in there and make that sheet this big, if I were to now go to it's only made itself X big, and it's not really popping over the full 200 or 400. If I want to push this over to 400 hops, I have to make this sheet to be the right size. So what I do to get there is I set a width. I'm going to set a width of 400, actually 409. I'm working on 10.5 right here with this demonstration at this workbook, and in version 10.5, when the sheets collapse, they leave a remnant of 9 pixels. And so I'm picking 409 so that when it's collapsed at 9 pixels, it'll expand to 409, push things over by 400. So I'm going to say okay here. This is now a fixed width of 409. If I stretch this out just about to the edge here, this has now, I've resized the sheet over here to be that big. Tableau remembers that even on the sheet itself. So I remember that. What I have to do now is well, let me just leave it the way it is. If I say no, because I have this set to fixed width before, when I set it to 409, it holds its size. So what I want to do here is turn off fixed width. It'll go away. But now you can see, basically what I want to do is this red box, this red text should end up exactly where this one is here. And so when I say yes, there it is. Okay, it ended up exactly there. So it's an approximation, because I'm dragging that by eye, but that gets you pretty close to there. That's how I size these sheets to be the right size. As I expand it to what I think it needs to be, stretch it out within the box on the window, on the dashboard, and then turn it off fixed size, and it'll pop in and out. It'll push things in and out. So I just wanted to show that. I'm going to come back to this dashboard and show some other things in a little while, but let me continue with where I was. So I've made, actually this finishes up what I was going to show you is how I was looking at what was my goal. Where's my goal? Window goal. Okay, it's essentially the same, the goal dashboard. So all three pieces of this now work in tandem, that I get the right filter that's accessible, I get the right legend, and I get the right sheet, all based on the parameter that's selected in here, okay? I guess it goes without saying, I didn't specifically say it, but the pop-out sheet that pushes down this legend is also working on that same parameter, right? Or the calc field that's set to the parameter to expose and not, depending on what the parameter is set to. Now, some things that are really useful. Yeah, this is an example of something that I did for somebody on the forum. By the way, if you folks don't use the forums, I really recommend that you use the forums. It's what got me going in Tableau. When I first started, I had used a different BI. I knew what BI should be able to do, but I didn't know where Tableau had all of the levers and trapdoors and things to make it happen. And so we have our community forum, right? And people ask questions, all sorts of questions, and users. I don't work for Tableau, I'm just a user, but I come in here and I answer people's questions, and other people answer other people's questions, because we like to show off what we know. We like to show off what we know. And one of the best ways to get a good answer is, I don't think Tableau can do this. And man, you get people hopping all over it to say, oh, no, Tableau can do that. So this is our forum here, okay? And it's really worth seeking out. It's how I learned to swap sheets. The initial thing that I showed you with the pie chart and the chart above it was what I was trying to do the first time I wanted to have two sheets swap in place for each other, and I had them identically positioned, and it was perfect. And I was so smart with myself, and I couldn't cursor down to see the legends. I mean, click on it to click on stuff and get actions and all that stuff. And somebody showed me, oh, no, this is how we swap. Do it in a container. Off you go. I also got a whole ton of help on table calcs. That before we had LODs, all we had were table calcs. And I want to say I'm a pretty good user of table calcs now. And it was through people helping me out on the forum. So that's the end of my plug for the forums. Okay. But somebody asked a question that I have two dashboards. And what I want is for the user to click on a value and show me the information for that state. Okay, that's a simple thing, right? That's just a simple action. Off we go, and it shows the state. But the tabs are there, and they can click. You know, when it's published, the tabs are at the top, and they can click dashboard 2, and they don't want to show the jumble of data with all the states. If they click on dashboard 2, they only want dashboard 2 to show something meaningful if they physically click on a state. All right. So what I did was on dashboard 2, I pop out this extra sheet. You must select a single state. It pushes the entire dashboard, all this stuff. It pushes it off. It pushes it off the boundaries of the actual dashboard. And all the user sees is you must select a single state, click here to return to the main dashboard. And if they go to dashboard 2, that's all they're going to see is that. And they won't see the jumble of all the states being shown here. And then if they click that pop-out sheet, which is just this little remnant here, right, doesn't show up. They just get the right stuff. And so how do I pop out that message? I made some calcs that show me, let's get one that's working right here. Dashboard 1, select a sheet, bam. And now when I go to pop out, oh, I want to clear it. That's what I want to do. Pop out this sheet true. I'm going to find that and see what I did with this here. Edit. I made a calc called states on this sheet, and let's go look at that. And so if it's not equal to 1, they've done something different than select a single one, right? So I'm going to edit this states on the sheet. It's just an LOD that counts how many states are selected now based on what got passed to them. Right now, 49 states are selected. I'm displaying states on this sheet in the title up here. 49 states are selected because nothing's selected essentially. By the way that the action is made, it says display all stuff. So all 49 states are selected. Display all stuff when you clear the item on the main sheet. And so it's got the smarts to say, I either have one or I don't. If I don't have one, pop out the message. And so that's why they're seeing that. So again, the fact that you can detect something, you can detect a specific condition, it doesn't have to be a parameter. It can be any kind of condition to say, I got more than one, I'm only looking at consumers, or whatever it happens to be. If you want something to happen, you make a calc to say, if this is the condition, pop this out. If it's not, hide it, or whatever. So that was just an example that I had thrown together for somebody on the forums asking about how to make that happen. I used that technique at work where certain users are only allowed to see a dashboard and other users don't have access to that dashboard. And so I use is member of. That's a function. We put people into groups. It's a function that Tableau has built in. If this user is a member of a given group, they can see the sheet. If not, they get the message. You don't have access to this. Go away. And I use that in a lot of places. Okay, that's enough for this guy here. Let's go back to pop and swap. So over here, I was going to show some other things that I need to show. Let's start from the beginning on this and take off these. Good. Okay, good. I have this I have two pie charts. I have a sales pie chart and a profit pie chart. It's just using the same select a measure, sales and pies. All right. And I want to just take these guys off of here for now and do something different. Okay, X. So I'm going to pop those two into a container. Do the same kind of deal like we did before, right? I'm going to pop them. This is a common question that happens on the forums. Shift that one in there, profit pie chart, shift that one in there. I have these two pie charts. Notice that the sales pie chart, let's hide the title. Even with the title hidden, the sales pie chart is not going away. It's holding its space. And there's a reason for that. I'm going to go over to the sales pie chart here. Where did I put that? Sales pie. There are no columns or rows on this sheet. It's how we make pie charts, right? There's no columns or rows. And swapping is saying if these rows should be displayed or not. The question is asking about the rows, not really about the sheet. And since there's no columns or rows, there's no dimension to judge on the values that are in the rows. So what I do is I make a little bogus calc field, edit. It's just simply A. All right, all that is A. I made this bogus calc field, and now when I put this on here, it doesn't change the data on there except that it displays A, right? So I can say hide, show header. Okay, now I have the same sheet as I had before, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing on the sales pie chart. You see here, you can even see that the space is still claimed, right? But as soon as I put a dimension up there, I'm going to hide, show header. You notice it went away, right? The lines all around it, the border, profit sales, and now it comes back. And when I go over to my, yeah, this is it. Okay. Now when I go from sales to profit, it's doing the swapping. Okay, and that's just by virtue of the fact that it has a dimension or a dimension on rows or columns. Remember that, because again, this happens a lot with pie charts. You follow the instructions, you make a simple pie chart, but there's no columns or rows, and then when people go to swap them, it just doesn't go. Let me hide this one out of here. I've also, I'm on a demo real quickly. I have made two sheets here. Let's see if I can find them. All right, sales for all regions and sales not all regions. We get people calling up or going in there and saying, well, if the user selects all regions in the filter, I only want to show a rolled up value. But if they select anything less than all regions, if they take out a region, I want it to display the individual regions. Okay, so here I have these two sheets that'll do that. And so what I've done is I've put, let me go into this one here, not all regions. I have put three calcs that I've made. One calc says how many rows are in the data. It tells me whether they've selected them all or not. And I called that regions in data. And so that's a regions in database. Again, this is an LOD. It's fixed. It just says how many regions are out in the data. And then I have another one that's called regions on sheets. Again, it's an LOD. I'm not going to get into the specifics of the LOD, but this LOD tells me how many regions actually are on the sheet, that how many people did the guy select. Right now he has 4 selected, and you can see that I have 5 in the data, 4 in the sheet. Right, and so that number goes down as I change it, select all. And then I have finally this one filter, are all regions in the sheet. Edit. If they're equal, then they've selected all. If they're equal, they selected all. And in this calc, I set this on this sheet to false. And on the all regions, I set it to true. True. Okay, there. So depending on whether they selected all or not, one sheet pops in and the other pops out. This again, it doesn't have to be based off of a parameter. This is based off of conditions in the sheet. I made these calcs that tell me about things, and so there we have it. And so now here on this sheet here, if I select less than all, I get the other sheet pops in that has the 4 of them instead. Put it all, it just gives me the single moment roll up. That's just another example of things that we can do with popping sheets in and out. I use that in places as well, well, in fact, you saw that how I did that for the user on the forum. If it was a single one, then the sheet displays, they see the dashboard. If it's not a single one, the giant message comes out that says, hey, you can't do this, and go away. So I just wanted to show that as well. Things we can do, thingswecando.com. Let me show you. People ask, if I have multiple sheets and they click on one sheet, I want to see a particular thing. If they click on a different sheet, I want the first thing to go away and I want the second thing to pop out. We can pop stuff out based on that. So if they click on sheet 1, they get text for, just popping out text for pop out 1. If they click on sheet 2, text for pop out 2. And in fact, if they leave text for pop out 2, click on 3, only 3 comes out. I have all these starting off in negative space, like I showed with the legends before. So that's how that's working. But in fact, on dashboard 5, I have it popping out below instead. It's a matter of who's hiding what and what's displaying where. So
Okay,
that's popping thing. Hello.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna. We had another question come up. Have you attempted to create a template base on the pop/swap to allow others in your org to easily use this feature?
In my org, users don't make their own dashboards. No. Again, I go back to being technically deficient. We in my group, we have a couple of Tableau people. We make all the dashboards. And when people say, hey, well, I wish it could do X, Y, and Z, we make it do X, Y, and Z. And so that's how it goes. No, but some of these things I have displayed out on the forum, and in fact there is a thread on the forum that actually displays and goes through videos doing all the stuff that I've done in this workbook here. All right, so that's all on videos and step by step. And then somebody else asked about, okay, well, let me show something else here. You know how we have these little remnants, right? And so the sheet pops in a different place. What I've done is come up with a way to position those sheets that as we select different sheets, those remnants get pushed around and the sheet always displays in exactly the same place. No matter how many remnants there are above or below. You see all these remnants below, right? Now all the remnants are above. And how did I do that? I'm going to move this thing here. I have a little sheet that displays as many rows as it needs to fill out the number of remnants to always make this land here. So if I pick 6, this will actually display 6 and push all this stuff down. It's really cool. It's made with a second data source. It's just a simple Excel sheet from the numbers of 1 to 100 or 1 to whatever of how many of these things you need to display. I'm just going to leave it at that for now. But that, and especially, it may not be so important anymore, because starting with one of the version 18s, these little remnants now are minuscule. It's either 1 or 0 pixels. And so more and more, that's becoming less of an issue. But if you do come along with it, I have this posted on the thread where it talks about pop and swap, this example dashboard. And in fact, let me just show sheet 11 just to show you. This is a simple I call it counter file, and the data in there is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that's it. It's an Excel sheet with just 6 rows of 1 column, but you can put as many of those in there as you want. And some people sometimes have 20 sheets that they want to pop in and out, and this will always align the displayed sheet in exactly the right spot by making these little tiny rows, right? The rows are really, really tiny. They're 9 pixels high, essentially, is what they are. And so it pushes this to exactly the right place. And in fact, when I'm doing the popping out of these guys here, it's also done with a second data source using the same kind of thing. In fact, I'll bet you it's I just call it data 1 in this case, but again, it's the same information. It's just 1, 2, 3. It's the same kind of thing, but these numbers are just 1 through whatever. And I use that. I pass 1 when it comes from sheet 1, and only the pop out 1 will work when display value 1 is passed to it. I actually pass it to all the pop out sheets, and the one that's going to display 1 pops out from the sheet that passes 1. The one that's going to display 2 pops out from the sheet that passes 2. You can have any number of these doing that. If people want to know more about that, you can contact me on the forum. My contact information is all available in public, and I think the recording of this will provide my information. I'm not sure if that'll provide my information or not, but I'm always willing to talk to anybody because I love this stuff. I love this stuff. Let's see, what else did I want to show here? Okay. This one here, I'm using swapping for a tooltip. I have tooltip only when consumers is selected, and it's going to be blue. When others are selected, it's going to be red. Okay, and what I've done is for segment copy, edit filter, when consumers is not selected here, then this one will display. When consumers is selected, then the blue one will display. So when I'm on the dashboard, when consumers is selected, I get the blue one. When this one, I get the red one. And how did I do that? For this sheet, in my tooltip, I have both of these sheets in there, okay? And one sheet or the other will display depending on the condition that's hit. And only one will display, not both of them, because one will display if consumers is hit, and the other will not display if consumers is hit, and vice versa. So you can put multiple sheets in the tooltip, and in fact, just to show you here what would happen if, cancel. If I were to take this filter consumers off of here, it's going to show me all 3. And now on the dashboard, I'm getting all the sheets no matter what, okay? Except for this one here, okay, that I left that other filter on there. The red one only displays when corporate and home office. You can display more than one sheet in a tooltip. And so that's technically what I'm doing. It's displaying both sheets in the tooltip. But because of the swapping principle, only one will display at a time because of the way I had the filter set up. So that's just another form of swapping that we can do, is swapping out tooltips. Well, I went through all this stuff really, really fast, and I hope I didn't blow people away. There's a lot of things to go through, and I'm always willing to, through email or on the forums or whatever, help walk people through. I do this a lot. I love to do it. People will ping me and say, "Hey, okay, I'm trying to make this work. What did I do wrong?" And I take a look at their workbook and say, "Oh, well, yeah, you have the pop out sheet has to be on the left side of the container so that it pushes things through." Right? So things like that, simple things like that. And a lot of times what happens is people put things in and they leave sheets as fixed with, the popping sheets as fixed with, and so they don't go away. And things. But I'll help people through all these little details. I've been doing this for 5 years now. It's just second nature to me. I love doing this stuff, making the art. Oh, I want to show you one more thing I just remembered. I even took this dashboard 4. I took this principle to the next step, and I can actually pop things out based on the value of what got chosen, 1, 2, or 3. This has very limited use because it has to specifically be the value. If you have real numbers, $47.37, I got to have a specific value of 47.30 to know to pop out this or that. And I'm working on seeing how I can make it expand further than that. But this is just a simple little sheet, 1, 2, 3, and depending on the value that I pick, I pass to those pop outs and make them display or not. I'm having so much fun with this concept in here and seeing where else I can expand it to. Some of the miracles of what Tableau has given me is the capability to shove stuff into negative space. So the negative X range, negative Y range, allowing things to bleed over beyond the positive boundary of the right side or the bottom of the dashboard. So things pop out of view if necessary. Beautiful stuff. And when engineering comes out and says, "Hey, tell me about how you use containers," and the first thing I say is, "Man, never take negative space away from me," because I use that all over the place, and I've leveraged that pretty heavily. Are there any questions? Feel free to contact me and post questions on the forum. There's hundreds of people out there who want to answer things. It's not just me or 5 guys. There's 100 people out there that are answering stuff, and very, very competent. And different people have strengths in different areas, and everything you ever wanted to know either has been asked or will be answered. Sometimes the answer is no, but by and large, there's ways to do things.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joe. We did have one follow-up question, whether or not you're going to make some of these workbooks available that you're showing off today.
Right now, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'll make them all. I'll just add this to the end of the thread that I made. And in fact, I have a link to that thread, and I will add more workbooks to it. But here are the videos. You can go to each of these videos and how long they are, and then further on, people have asked other questions for it, and I added on the one about moving the sheets up and down based on those remnants. But I'll put all of these on there just to have different examples of things to do, and I may further make additional videos and add them to this list so that we can have all that stuff collected in one place. Yeah, awesome. I'll add it to that. So how do you get that here? Is there some way that I can click this and put it somewhere so that in the comments or what? So that
you could drop it into the chat there for everybody and just send it off to all the attendees. Or what we can also do is I'll add this this thread link to the original Think Data Thursday page for this webinar, and so people can reference back to that as well.
All right, well, there's the link for that particular where the videos are, because that's a great place to start. All this stuff is explained. The workbook is attached here. Get away. The workbook, I've attached it in here somewhere. And there's all kind of other further discussion in here, too, about ideas that people have put and things like that. But yes, there's the the workbooks in here. And this is timeless. The stuff that I'm doing is timeless. I've been doing this since Tableau version 8, and none of it has broken with the upgrades along the way. When I made this, we were back on 10.5. It still works beautifully on 19. So off we go. I'll add some more to the end of this thread with whatever workbooks I have not put in here yet.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Joe. The YouTube video will be posted later this afternoon with this webinar. So feel free to look out for that. And the Think Data Thursday post will also be updated with the YouTube link as well as our this additional thread from Joe. And with that, I will bid everybody adieu.
Have a great day.
Yep. Have a good one, everybody.